This time, let's go to Neuro-Psychiatric examination, sample behavioral job interview questions. Our source is from www.thebalancedcareers.com. The very first question is that we will be talking thoroughly in this video is, tell me about how you work effectively under pressure. Again, tell to the interviewer about how you work effectively under pressure. What do we mean by under pressure? If we say under pressure, we are given different tasks, different demands, different designations with a corresponding of due dates. Due dates are just only in a limited period, diba? So that is under pressure. How well you can work effectively under that situation. What the interviewer wants to know, how well you can work under pressure, how good you are, how can you manage pressure, how can you manage these multiple projects, multiple paperworks, how well you are. So ready to give a real example of how you have dealt with pressure when you respond. So from this time, list already situations that you have experienced when you work under pressure. Next, the employer wants to find out whether you understand how pressure affects you and how you manage it. It is very important that we really need to understand pressure. We need to understand how pressure will really affect us, because some employee may accept pressure as positively as part of their growth, or others may accept it as negatively. It will give them emotional stress, it will give them emotional impact. Their emotions are getting high, they are getting angry, then they cannot anymore manage the job well. As with all interview questions, it's a good idea to have examples ready to share with the interview. So in this situation, if you will be sharing situations, examples, do not forget our technique of STAR. Describe a situation, the task given, the action that you have made or the initiatives you have shared, and also the result. What's the result after that? The interviewer really wants to know whether you can handle job-related stress. How can you handle that? And what you do in particular stressful situations at work. You have so many ways on how you can handle it, so we will talk this more. This is especially important if you're interviewing for a position where stress is an integral part of the job. There are certain jobs that is very stressful. Stress is an integral part. What do we mean by stress? Integral means it's already attached. It's necessary there. It's already necessarily attached in that particular job. That's because job stress can have a negative impact on workplace performance. Yes, this is what I'm saying, that we really need to understand how can we handle our stress, because it can give negative impact on workplace performance. If stress gives us increases our emotions, we tend to get angry, we tend to lose our focus, we tend to murmur. So therefore, there is no more focus, or there is no more performance. There can be no productive performance in the workplace. Next, the hiring manager may also be wondering whether stressful issues outside of work can impact your job performance. Employers look for candidates who can deal with a range of stressful situations, whether these are personal or work-related. So, in this situation, the employer really wants to know how you can handle your personal stress and also work-related stress. As a tip, personal stress or personal problem must be set aside when you are already working, diba? So separate your personal stress from your work-related stress. Because if you will still bring your personal work stress in your work, you will lose focus and there can be no productive performance. Next, how to answer. How do you handle stress? So let us now, these are now the tips on how to answer that. If you were asked this question, how do you handle stress? To answer this question successfully, you will want to provide a specific examples of how you have handled stress well in the past. So think of those situations, think of those job-related situations that you have handled stress successfully, you have overcome it. You might also provide examples of times when pressure actually made you work more productively. So what are those situations that you have overcome stress and you made the work successful, you made a performance successful, or you become productive even in the presence of stress, diba? So what are those situations? So from this moment, think of those situations that made you stress but you have overcome the stress. Be careful how you respond. If you say get stressed when you're given multiple projects and you know the job will require you to juggle many assignments at once, you look like you're not a good fit for the position. So again, we must be careful when it comes in answering this question. If we say we are stressed, if we're given with multiple projects, demands, paperwork that will be done at once, that will be done with the same due date, with the same deadline. So we get stressed, diba? We tend to get stressed. But as much as possible in answering this question, let us say that we get stressed. We stress, but positively. The more we challenge ourselves, the more that we really want to overcome the stress. The more really want to finish the work. The more we really want to target the due date. So we stress in a good sense. We stress positively. We stress because we tend to be motivated. It gives us motivation. Next, consider mentioning how a little stress can be helpful motivator for you. Try to provide an answer of a time when a stress of a difficult project helped you to be a more creative and productive worker. So think of those situations where you became more productive, creative, despite the presence of stress. And as much as possible, let stress be a motivator for you to finish the work or to target the work, to finish the work by targeting the due date. Now, these are now the example that I really want you to share, and as much as possible, familiarize this. Example answer number 1. This is a suggestive answer. Pressure is very important to me. Good pressure, positive pressure, such as having many assignments or an upcoming deadline, helps me to stay motivated and productive. So because of good pressure, it makes you more motivated and productive. Of course, there are times when too much pressure can lead to stress. Yes, once too much pressure, there will be already stress. However, I am very skilled at balancing multiple projects and meeting deadlines. This ability prevents me from feeling overly stressed. So again, diba, when there is already too much pressure, there will already be a stress. But one thing that I can give you, another tip or suggestion, if you are already, if you feel already pressured, try to make a list or classify the work as important and urgent. Again, classify your work as important and urgent. Next, important but not urgent. Next, urgent but not important. And then not urgent, and not important. So, again, classify your works, your paperworks, your projects as important and urgent. So, prioritize this because this is important and urgent. Next, important but not urgent. Next, urgent but not important. The last is that not urgent and not important. So, classify the paperworks or projects into 4 categories. And that in that way, in that simple way, you can manage your pressure. You can manage stress. So, you are already objective on what things to be prioritized. Of course, there are many times when too much pressure can lead to stress. Yes, must always take note of that, acknowledge that, understand that, and learn how to manage it. However, I am very skilled at balancing multiple projects and meeting deadlines. This ability prevents me from feeling overly stressed. Yes, it's natural that we feel overly stressed, but classify the works so that you will be rationalized. You can think objectively on what things to do first, diba? Next, why it works, diba? This example number 1 answer, why it works. This answer shows that the candidate enjoys working under pressure and thrives in stressful situations. So that person is positively enjoys in the work despite the presence of stress, despite the presence of pressure, still motivated to overcome stressful situations. Next, example number 2. I actually work better under pressure, and I've found that I enjoy working in a challenging environment. As a writer and editor, I thrive under tight deadlines and multiple projects. I find that when I have to work to a deadline. So again, this suggestive answer, it tells that I actually work better under pressure. So that's the positive mind of the mindset of this person. He can work better under pressure. I've found that I enjoy working in a challenging environment. They find it more meaningful if they work in a challenging environment. As a writer and editor, I thrive under tight deadlines and multiple projects. I find that when I have to work to a deadline, diba? I have to work to meet a deadline. I have to work to meet a deadline. So that is very important. It's the mindset. Work to meet the deadline and do not be overcome by stress. Otherwise, you will tend to get angry, you lose focus. Why it works? Why this answer, example number 2 answer, work? This response works well because the candidate shows that they enjoys working under pressure and that they can meet deadlines. So they find it challenging. The more they are becoming productive, the more they can meet the deadlines if they are already under pressure. So that's a mindset also. That's a mindset that we need to adapt.